Have you ever walked into a place so ordinary, so cheap, that you completely lowered your guard? A place where nothing feels dangerous because nothing looks valuable enough to matter. Now, let me ask you something far more unsettling. What if the most terrifying experience of your life didn't happen in a dark alley or an abandoned building, but under bright fluorescent lights between plastic toys and off-brand candy? Because this story proves something chilling. Sometimes the most horrifying places are the ones you visit every day and never think twice about. This is a true story, and once you hear it, you'll never walk into a dollar store the same way again. It was just after 9:30 at night. The dollar store sat at the edge of a nearly empty strip mall. Half the parking lot lights were out. The sign flickered on and off, and every time the automatic doors opened, they let out a long mechanical screech. Inside, the air smelled like cheap plastic, cleaning chemicals, and stale candy. Emily was working the closing shift alone. She was 22 years old, a college student trying to cover rent with a part-time job. Working alone wasn't unusual. The store was always understaffed, the security cameras barely functioned, and management constantly brushed off concerns with the same sentence: "Nothing ever happens here." Emily had heard it so many times that it almost felt comforting. The store was quiet, no music, no customers, just the steady hum of the fluorescent lights and the soft squeak of her shoes as she restocked shelves. At 9:47, the door chimed. A man walked in. He looked normal, mid-30s, baseball cap pulled low, hands shoved deep into his jacket pockets. He didn't smile, he didn't frown, he just nodded once and headed toward the back of the store. Nothing about him screamed danger, and that's what made it so easy to ignore the feeling that crept into Emily's chest. Not fear, not panic, just the uncomfortable sense that something wasn't quite right. She told herself she was imagining things. Night shifts always felt creepy. Your brain plays tricks on you when you're tired. But the man didn't leave. 10 minutes passed, then 15. Emily glanced down the aisles. She couldn't see him, but she could hear something. A soft sound, plastic shifting, boxes being moved, something opening, then closing again. That's when her stomach tightened. No one shops that slowly. At 10:02, the man finally approached the register. He placed one item on the counter, a pack of batteries. He didn't look at her, didn't say a word. Emily scanned them, $1.07 with tax. As she handed him the receipt, their fingers brushed. His skin was ice cold. She flinched without meaning to. The man paused just long enough to notice. Then he smiled, not wide, not friendly, just enough. And he leaned in slightly and said, very quietly, "You should lock up early tonight." Before Emily could respond, he turned and walked out. The door screeched shut behind him. Emily stood frozen behind the register, heart pounding. She laughed nervously, trying to shake it off. Probably a joke, probably nothing. But when she went to straighten the aisle he'd been in, she noticed something tucked behind a row of cleaning sponges, a folded piece of paper. She assumed it was trash, something a kid dropped, until she unfolded it. 4 words written in shaky, uneven handwriting. "I can see you." Emily felt her chest tighten. She scanned the store. Every aisle, every corner. Nothing moved. No footsteps, no shadows. Just her reflection staring back at her from the security mirror above aisle 3. She called her manager. No answer. She called her roommate straight to voicemail. She told herself she was overreacting, that fear did what fear always does. She finished her shift, locked the doors, and went home. That night, she barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she imagined someone standing in her room, watching, waiting. 2 days later, Emily was called into work early. Police cars were parked outside the store. Yellow tape stretched across the front entrance. Her manager looked pale as he handed her a bottle of water, his hands shaking. During inventory, employees discovered something hidden in the back room. Behind the shelves was a false panel, and behind that panel, a narrow crawl space. Inside were things that didn't belong in a dollar store: a blanket, empty food wrappers, a flashlight, and dozens of folded papers, notes. Each one detailed employee schedules, break times, which register they preferred, what time they walked to their cars. One note made Emily feel physically sick. Emily works alone, locks up at 10:15. Police reviewed the security footage. That's when everything made sense. The cameras hadn't been broken. They'd been disabled from inside the building. Footage showed the man entering weeks earlier and never leaving. He waited until closing, slipped into the back room, and stayed. night after night, living inside the walls, watching, learning. The batteries weren't random. They were for his flashlight, and the note he left wasn't just meant to scare her. It was a test. Police believe something interrupted whatever he planned that night. Fear, impatience, or maybe something else entirely. They never found him. No fingerprints, no identity, just an empty space where someone had been living unnoticed. Emily quit immediately. She couldn't walk into a store without scanning every corner, couldn't sleep without checking her locks again and again. Months later, Emily received a message from a former coworker. The store had reopened. New cameras, new locks, new staff. But strange things were happening. Items moved overnight, notes appearing in odd places, and once, scratched into the backroom wall, a single word, "Miss me?" Police searched again. They found nothing. Some people say it was a prank. Others say trauma makes patterns where none exist. But Emily knows what she saw, and sometimes late at night, she swears she hears the soft sound of plastic shifting just outside her bedroom door. The most terrifying part of this story isn't the man. It's how long he went unnoticed, how easily he blended into a place everyone ignored, a store no one thought was worth protecting, a place where people assume nothing bad could happen because nothing there seems valuable, except people. This wasn't a haunted building, it was a blind spot, and that's what makes it terrifying. If this story stayed with you, make sure to like the video. It helps more people find stories like this. Subscribe if you want more true horror that lingers long after the screen goes dark. And leave a comment if you've ever felt watched somewhere that was supposed to feel safe, because the next story might be closer to home than you think.